My name is Jane Goodall. My age is 80. My job is giving people hope. I learned from my mother so much, the importance, I think, of support. Because when I was a child, my mother supported all my crazy love of animals. When I wanted to go off to Africa, age 10, and everybody laughed at me, she supported me. And she simply said, which I took to heart and repeat again and again, that if you really want something, you have to be prepared to work very hard, take advantage of opportunity, and above all, never give up. This is the Bible box that I made for my grandmother when I was about 11. I filled up the drawers with these little scrolls, reading every single chapter, picking out these texts, writing them, rolling them up. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, that's the Bible box.
Just in October this year, Lubbock, Los Angeles, Portland, Toronto, London, Guelph, Kitchener, Hamilton.
Along the road in the last 30 years, for me, one of the most exciting things has been the development of the Jane Goodall Institute, which has been able to change the lives of so many people. Jane knew that she wanted to help chimpanzees and the local communities. And over the years, the picture has become bigger and bigger. And then you're home again for a few days before you go to Germany. I'd like to give Jane more time. I'd love to see our sanctuaries and programs underwritten to the point where Jane stops worrying about racing to help raise funds to ensure their security. Another thing off the list.
The kind of life I'm living now is completely crazy. And there are times when I think I cannot go on like this. You're making me feel ill.
I'm making me feel ill just looking at this. It's quite scary.
I have this little Bible box that I made for my grandmother with texts in it, all rolled up. And when I've been grumbling away to Judy because I've got to get ready to go on another trip, and I don't want to go, and I've got to pack a suitcase again. And 3 times I've picked out of this jumble of hundreds of little rolls. He who has set his hand to the plow and turns back is not fit for the kingdom of God. Judy says, okay, off you go. Actually, it's okay.
We say, Jane, how do you keep it up? And she said, well, because I'm doing what I believe in, and time is running out. We say, slow down, you're getting on. She says, no, time is running out, I must speed up. And I think the cost is very high. And how she keeps it up, well, we can only say she's driven by her commitment to her mission. That is what keeps her alive, I think.
This is a really exciting moment for me. The Jane Goodall Institute's Chimpunga Chimpanzee Rehabilitation Center in the Republic of Congo has for years been caring for infants whose mothers were killed, mostly for the illegal bushmeat trade. Many of them are now fully grown. Recently, we acquired 3 large forested islands on the beautiful Kwilu River, where we can release many of the chimpanzees from our overcrowded center. In here is Wounda, and she nearly died, but thanks to Rebecca, she came back from the dead. And here she is about to come out into this paradise. She's the 15th chimpanzee to get her freedom here. And we hope ultimately to have about 60 on the island. Today is the first time I've met Wounda. I talked to her on the boat, trying to reassure her. She must have wondered what was happening. None of us could predict exactly what she would do once the cage door opened. It was a very, very touching moment. One of the most amazing things that's ever happened to me. The warmth of her embrace is something I shall never forget. For Wounda and all the other chimpanzees we're working to bring here, Chinzula Island will provide a wonderful forest home where they will be cared for and safe. So now that you've seen the video, I suspect that you can have some feeling of how it was for me. In fact, looking around, because I know the video very well, and I only need to listen to have the feeling I had, but I saw many tears, and that happens with every showing of that video. We were all crying at the time, and one of the Africans' caregivers, he said, I wonder how she knew that you were responsible for giving her her freedom. Of course, she didn't know, but it was something I still can't understand. It should have been Rebecca who saved her life twice. She should have got the hug. And yet, although she went and Rebecca hugged her, she came to me, and it was, I don't know if you noticed, but in the video, she's kind of looking around and she looks back, and then she comes over, and it's much longer embrace than normal. And you probably didn't notice, but there's a little kiss on my arm. You did notice. And so it was awe-inspiring. And it was one of those moments that give me the inspiration to carry on, aged almost 85, traveling the world 300 days a year. And it sort of goes right back to David Greybeard gently squeezing my fingers. Those are moments that just give me the new energy. And I felt this spiritual power in every living thing. We call it our soul. Well, if we have a soul, then that spark of energy is in chimpanzees. They have souls, even though most people wouldn't talk about it that way. And the trees, they have a soul too. They've got a spark of that divine energy. It was in Gombe that I began to really think about the spiritual nature of life on this planet. When you're out in nature, if you're just completely calm, you know, I was a bit scared when I met a leopard, I have to admit, but it didn't for a moment make me think, oh, I'm going to leave. No, because the leopard didn't do anything to me. I just felt nothing would happen to me because I was meant to be there. And I felt this about other times in my life. The most important part of being in the rainforest is the understanding of the interconnection, how every little species has a role to play. And I like to think of this tapestry of life in the forest. I think, okay, this little species disappears, a thread is removed from the tapestry, and then this species goes and another thread is removed. And if too many species go from this ecosystem, the whole ecosystem may collapse because the tapestry is in tatters, and we depend on healthy ecosystems. There's such magic out in the forest. And it just is a feeling of spirituality, that this, you know, it's something so powerful and so much beyond what even the most scientific, brilliant brain could have created. This is my grandfather. I never met him, but he just looks wonderful. To me, he looks wonderful. I think it's very difficult to determine the different parts of who you are, where it came from. It's a mixture of genes and environment and experience, I think. So I was brought up in a very, very caring family. I had an amazing mother, supportive mother. And when I was very tiny, I loved animals. When I went to stay on a farm in the country, I was given the job of helping to collect the hen's eggs. Apparently, I began asking everyone, but where's the hole? Where does the egg come out of the hen? Because I couldn't see a hole like that. Well, nobody satisfied my curiosity. So I went into an empty hen house and waited. I waited at least 4 hours. I can still see the hen laying that egg. If I close my eyes, she's right there in front of me. And I don't know who was more excited, me or the hen. And so it's the making of a little scientist, curiosity, asking questions, not getting the right answer, deciding to find out for yourself, making a mistake, not giving up and learning patience. It was all there in that little 4.5-year-old child. And a different kind of mother might have crushed that scientific curiosity. I might not have done what I've done. When I left the beloved forests of Gombe and the chimpanzees, because I realized that the forests were being destroyed and chimpanzee numbers were decreasing, I knew I had to do something. And somehow I was guided in a way to do what I did. It's very important that young people learn that you can't just care for the environment. You need to care for people too, because you can't separate them. As I speak now, in different parts of the world, there are young people. They've rolled up their sleeves and they're out there clearing litter, planting trees, raising money for good causes, volunteering in shelters, volunteering in soup kitchens, changing the attitude of their parents. So Roots and Shoots is hope. Hundreds and thousands, millions of young people, the roots and the shoots, can break through and make a better world. And here is my studio, from where I reach out to the world. Well, for me, I have never been as busy in my whole life. You know, when I first was grounded, as I call it, I happened, luckily, to be at home in Bournemouth. And I was really frustrated. I was angry because, you know, I was used to traveling 300 days a year around the world. And then I thought, well, there's no point being angry. I'm here, so we have to make the best of it. Since then, every single day, it's been Zooms and Skypes and podcasts and webinars and all these other things. I think the most important part about this is that I have been able to reach these millions more people in many more countries than I could possibly have reached if I was traveling. I just feel it was meant to be. You know, I just turned 87, so I'm now in my 88th year. So I don't know how much longer I have left. So it's good to be able to use these months when I'm still fighting fit, so to speak, to the best advantage I can. I'm not sure how my feeling of spirituality has guided my work, but it's really more a feeling of, this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is what I'm here for. My life has a meaning. I was a very shy child. All I wanted to do was go and live in the jungle and write books about animals. I didn't want anything else. I didn't even want to be a scientist. And then I had to give talks and things like that. But, you know, especially now I'm here where I grew up with the family. I mean, I'm still the same Jane I was. And I don't understand what's happened to... Why do people listen? Why do thousands of people come to lectures? I don't know. The world is so full of magic and surprises. And I think when people say, oh, science can describe it all, you know, you don't need to go to any intelligence behind the universe. Science, we have all the answers. And after all, it's been proven that the universe began with the Big Bang. Well, yeah, I'm sure it did. But what created the Big Bang? You cannot say everything's explained because of the Big Bang. You've got to then say, now I want you to explain the Big Bang, and they can't. So I like to keep an open mind, and I like to think of magic, and I don't want us to find out all the answers. You know, and I love that little phrase in the Bible, now we see through a glass darkly, then face to face. So one day we will learn the answers, but not on this planet. I'm chasing good on this planet.
As opposed, do you think about an afterlife?
Yes, I do, actually. Yes, I do. I always have.
What do you think about?
But that I can't believe that when we disappear, we're sort of gone forever. There's something, I don't know what it is. And you get that feeling when you're out in the forest. You really do.
Our guest this evening needs absolutely no introduction. Dr. Jane Goodall.
I was asked the other day, what's your next adventure? What's my next adventure? So I said, well, dying. There's a kind of startled silence. And I said, well, when you die, there's either nothing, in which case, fine, it's finished, over, you don't know anymore, or there's something. And I happen to believe there's more than just this one physical life. I haven't the faintest idea what else there is. But if that's true, then what greater adventure can there be? In my life right now, I'm 80. There is so much left to do. So I would like to go back and give myself a bit longer. But as it is, I don't know how long I have to live, but certainly it is that every year takes me closer to the end, whenever that end is. And so there's this feeling of desperation. There's so many places I want to go. There's so many people I want to talk to. There's so many hearts I want to reach. And I'm just me, and I try and use this electronic stuff, and it does work to a certain extent, but it's not the same as being there and sensing a person and trying to get in here where it seems impossible to do. And maybe the hardest of all, but what I really, really, really would love to change, is the unsustainable lifestyle of everybody else. We're just greedy. And I always think of Mahatma Gandhi saying, this planet can provide for human need, but not for human greed. And that is so right.